When your logo becomes your identity, your future stops belonging to you because you're just another name on the spreadsheet until the next one is called in. Having the brand name on your card can be a powerful thing. It can open doors, it can make conversations easier, it can give you instant credibility sometimes before you even walk into the room. That's also the risk, because the moment your value gets tied more to the logo than to who you are, the clock starts ticking on how long that will last. I was a top performing wealth advisor, leader, and executive in the wealth management industry for 23 consecutive years, building and running multi-billion-dollar businesses. Few ever get insider access to what it really takes to reach the top levels in this business. I launched EliteVate to change that. This is my mission. So what are you going to learn from this conversation? 1, why you must stop confusing your value with your firm's brand. 2, the behavioral blind spots that make you replaceable. 3, what you need to do to make your success transferable across any environment. And finally, 4, how to build ownership, control, and true client loyalty that lasts. So here's the issue. When you work inside a brand name firm, credibility feels automatic. When you make calls, people pick up. When you walk into meetings, the brand does half the talking. And your referrals, they show up just because the name is familiar, not because of who you are. And to you, it feels like momentum. It feels like progress. But what it really does, it shapes your behavior in ways that will cost you later. So these are the things I want you to think about. 1, your ownership. Who are you really building this for? Are you doing it for you or the firm? If the firm's brand is always the one that's seen as a value, the equity you're creating isn't really yours. And what about your retention? At the end of the day, are these truly your clients? Or are they the firm's? Will they stay because of you or because of the environment that surrounds you? And when you leave, that answer decides whether you have a following or a restart. And what about your personal portability? That's where the real test comes in. Can your success travel, or does it only work inside the structure you're in now? And some advisors even join these firms later in their careers. You're chasing access to bigger clients. But what they gain in access, they often lose in control. And when the firm pivots upstream, or changes priorities, you'll find out quickly if the value is really yours. How about your differentiation? Do clients come to you because of who you are or because of the brand you represent? When your identity gets blurred into the firm, you stop standing out, and when you don't stand out, you become easy to overlook. And what about your control? Are you truly thinking, acting, and growing like a business owner? Or are you just running plays someone else designed? Because if you can't steer the business independently, then you're not really in control. And here's the real danger. If clients see the firm's brand as the value, you don't actually own the relationship. Because when you leave, you don't take everything with you. Your retention will get tested. Some people will follow, but many won't, because their loyalty was anchored to the firm's brand, not to you. And when that happens, you're not just moving firms. You may be just starting over. And every gap that you have in your preparation, it shows up. Every shortcut the brain gave you gets exposed. And when you spent years inside that structure, it feels normal. The systems, the credibility, the client flow, they cover up for the weaknesses. And when you step outside, those gaps get exposed fast. And that's why I've seen so many advisors struggle after leaving. Not because they weren't capable, but because they were never equipped with the tools and the mindset to run it on their own. And that's the true consequence of leaning too heavily on a firm's brand. Because if it's always seen as the value, then the day you need to stand alone, you'll pay for the time it takes to rebuild what should have been yours all along. And I've lived both sides of this. I was a top advisor inside firms where the brand carried weight everywhere, but I also built it in places where the name on the card didn't mean anything. And I succeeded in both, not because the environments were the same, because they weren't, but because of the mindset I'm trying to instill in you now. Because when there's no brand name to lean on, you have to operate differently. You need to build credibility in every meeting from scratch. You have to own every outcome, because you can't point back to the badge when things don't land. And you have to run it like an owner across every part of the business. And it's not easy, but that's where you're going to find out what you're actually made of. And here's the other truth. Working inside a brand name firm does have real benefits. You'll get access to clients you never reach on your own. You'll get exposure to a wider set of needs and challenges. You'll get training, products, and technology that sharpen your skills. And all this matters. And all of that can accelerate you, but only if you know how to leverage it for yourself. And make sure the mindset, the structure, and the skills you're building are transferable when the logo isn't there. So what can you do? The brand name can be an asset, but it cannot be your foundation. So these are some of the things you can do to take control. Measure your reputation. Do you know what credibility is truly yours and what belongs to the firm? The moment you blur that line, you stop building independence and you start renting it. And what about the systems? If you walked out tomorrow what would actually come with you? Systems that you can carry anywhere are the difference between being replaceable and being indispensable. And what about your ownership mindset? Are you running your practice like a seat you rent or like a business you own? At branded firms, many of these obstacles are cleared out for you, but outside, they're not. And that's when you find out if you've really built an ownership mindset or if you only learned how to produce inside a machine. And what about other firms like yours? Please, don't just measure yourself against firms with less weight. Ask yourself, how well do you win when the logos are equal? Because in that room, the brand doesn't separate you anymore. What separates you is your skill, your presence, and where the clients trust you, not the card. And what about your adaptability? Adaptability is the test of portability. If you had to take it anywhere into an environment without the same advantages you have now, could you still succeed? Could you still build the business on your own? Could you deliver the same results without the brand, the systems, and the shortcuts already in place? And that's the real question, because when you know you could take it anywhere, that's when you'll know it's truly yours. And each of these is about shifting from dependency to control, from being carried to carrying it yourself. And when you separate your value from the firms, you get clarity. And when you build systems that travel with you, you get control. When you operate like an owner, you gain independence. And when you stay adaptable, you protect yourself against whatever comes next. And that's the real benefit. You can take the best of what the firm gives you, access, the opportunities, the knowledge, the training, and actually make it yours. Your loyalty with clients will run deeper. Your confidence will run higher. And your career becomes durable wherever you go. Because here's the truth. Clients and careers stick when you are the value, not the logo, not the environment, just you. Every week, I'll dive deeper into the critical moves that help leaders and advisors break through plateaus and lead at the levels they're built for. We'll cut through the fluff, no hype, no theory, just strategy, psychology, and execution. If this message hits home, make sure you're following along. You're in the right place, whether you're leading teams, running a book, or scaling a firm. This is EliteVate. Let's cut through the noise and build something that actually lasts.